Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today we are looking at the 1987 release by Dapol from their Doctor Who series of action figures and playsets. And this particular figure we are looking at today is of the Cyberman as they appeared in the 1980s. This particular one was actually from the 20th anniversary television episode, The Five Doctors, and you can see an image of the Cyberman from that particular episode. This is the one that was attacked by the Rastan Warrior robot. Okay, so this is the card in front of us, and at the top it's got Doctor Who, and you've got the TARDIS in the bubble, which was part of the opening title sequence from the Sylvester McCoy era. And it's got W9 barcode and the Dapol logo at the bottom, and just behind the bubble you can see the Cyberman himself. Okay, before we actually have a look at the figure itself, let's just turn the card around and see what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I've turned the card around to the back. I'll just add a little bit of light to make it easier to read. So again, you've got the TARDIS in the bubble as it appeared in the opening title sequence of the McCoy era. And it says Doctor Who from Dapol. And it says the Doctor, a Time Lord from Gallifrey. Mel, the last companion of the 6th Doctor and the first companion of the 7th. The Tetrap, the first monster to encounter the 7th Doctor. The TARDIS, time and relative dimensions in space, the Doctor's time machine. K9, the Doctor's personal robot dog computer. And the TARDIS control console. It's got copyright BBC 1987, licensed by BBC Enterprise Limited. Tetrap, copyright BBC, Pip and Jane Baker, Dapol, Winsford, Cheshire. Okay, so that's the back of the card. So let's whiz the card back round to the front and let's have a good look at the figure itself. Okay, so I've zoomed onto the figure there, so you can actually have a look at the figure compared to the one in the image. And I think it's a terrific likeness of the one from the TV show. Let's just go in a little bit closer. And there's some great detailing on this figure. The helmet is fantastic. The mouth is just spot on. The handles are obviously right as well. And if we go down a bit, he's got the black chest piece. And all the way down, obviously he's got the Cyberman hands, and down his legs to the Cyberman boots at the very bottom there. So for a Dapol figure, don't want to sound too rude, but he's a very, very well detailed Dapol figure, which you didn't really get with Dapol when they produced these figures. But this particular one I think is one of the best that they produced. Yeah, I think he was probably one of the most detailed. Yeah, maybe Davros as well was the other one that was just detailed. The Daleks were also very good, but the character figures were not quite so good. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Okay, so that's the figure. Let's just get some measurements on this figure because I do want to give you an idea of the size. So he's 17 centimeters tall. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 12 centimeters. Oh, let's do that properly. He is 11 centimeters tall. He is 4 centimeters wide, and depth-wise, you're looking at 2 centimeters. You just see that you're looking at 2 centimeters deep. Okay, articulation-wise. Now, all these Dapol figures, articulation was exactly the same, and I don't have an open Cyberman to show you, but I do have my trusted 4th Doctor figure, which is the Tom Baker one. Now, hence the reason why I said to you, you can see that these figures weren't great detailing. If you have a look at this particular figure, the detail on him is not too great, I'm afraid. But there we are. Back in 1987, 88, we didn't have much option. So anyway, articulation wise, so you've got the head, which does move from side to side, doesn't go much further, just slight movement. You've got the top of the arms, which go up and down, and the elbows, which move up and down. And the same on this arm, shoulder goes up and down, elbow goes up and down. The top of the legs go up and down also, and the knee joints get moved backwards and come back again. And that is the extent of the articulation. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 and a bit, because the head doesn't really articulate. So that's the articulation on these particular figures. You can see where how bigger the Cyberman is compared to the Doctor. The Doctor is the 4-inch, and obviously the Cyberman is a little bit bigger because they were obviously bigger in the TV series. Okay, how well did these do? Well, Dapol was asked to or granted the license, I should say, to produce figures for the 25th anniversary, which was in 1988. And now prior to that, there hadn't been any Doctor Who figures produced since the 70s, when the Dennis Fisher Mego line was produced. And they did the figures they did was the Doctor, Leela, and then there was a giant robot, the Dalek and the TARDIS. I think that was it. So they didn't do a great deal. And prior to that, you also had the Palitoy ones. They produced some Daleks, and I think they produced K9 as well. But prior to that, you're going back to the 60s, and it was really just the Daleks that were produced back then. So yeah, we were crying out for figures, and for the 25th anniversary, this license was granted to Dapol for figures to be made, and they did do their range. They done a range of all the current Doctor. The current Doctor at the time was Sylvester McCoy. So they done all the figures as was shown on the back of the card. They also done a lot of the adversaries. So you had Cybermen, the Daleks, the Sea Warriors, the Ice Warriors, the Silurians, Davros, the Daleks, of course. So there was quite a few of the adversaries done, and of course they done all of the predecessing Doctors. Actually, I'm not quite sure if they've done all. I think they did do all of them. So it was quite a nice selection that was done for the 25th anniversary. And that they were released in 87. The second wave was released in 1989, just after the 25th anniversary, and then there was supposed to be another wave produced in 91, but because of a fire that occurred at the Dapol factory, these figures were not produced and then until 1996, which is almost 10 years after the first batch came out. And then of course they did a few, I think in the early 2000s there was some playsets that were done, and some reissuing of the figures that were in the playsets. That was really the extent of the range of Dapol. And of course then obviously the new Doctor Who started to be produced, and then the license expired from Dapol and went over to Character Options, and the rest is history. How well did they sell? Well, be honest with you, yeah, I mean, they did sell. They sold them, and they sold out of them, of course they did, eventually. The downside at the time was that, I mean, Dapol was originally they are a model train manufacturer. And all of their model trains are sold through specialist stores. And that's the way that they did. They offered the Doctor Who figures for sale, so they were through the specialist stores. So your places like Forbidden Planet, Galaxy 4, or you could go to the Doctor Who conventions. Like there was one at Longleat that had Dapol merchandise. The one in Blackpool had Dapol merchandise, and so on. Point being is that they weren't readily available. You couldn't go into a normal toy shop and find these figures. You could, obviously, back in the time, in 87, internet was not in every household. Mail order you was able to do, but you would have to send away for the catalogue, or I think things like the Doctor Who magazine. You could find some of the merchandise in there, and you could order, or you could write away to Dapol for their catalogue, and they would send you a photocopy catalogue, and you would just tick off what you want, send you a check with it, and then 28 days later you'd have your order. But yeah, I mean, obviously nowadays it'd be very different because you could order just straight over the internet and the items dispatched the next day, and then you have them in 2 or 3 days. So that's how different it is now compared to what it was back in 1987. Internet really didn't take off until the 90s, so this was way before the internet really took off. So yeah, but as I say, the Dapol only produced limited quantities of all of these figures, so they did actually eventually sell out of everything. So they did do what they intended to do, just I think it took a little longer, or maybe quite a bit longer than what was anticipated. And I say that's all. I think that's all down to the fact that they wasn't readily available for everyone to go and buy. However, now we're talking what we're talking. We're talking 37 years later. These 37, 1987, 37 years on. Wow. So these figures are now becoming very, very difficult to find. They do occasionally pop up on the platforms, not very often now, certainly not in this mint sealed condition. You do see quite a few pop up opened, which you can pick up fairly cheaply on the platforms actually, but you very rarely see them now in this mint sealed condition. But as usual, we at Midas Touch have managed to find a few, and they are currently available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to quite simply by clicking the link below. It'll take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Doctor Who items, and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody. I'm absolutely positive that you're not going to want to miss this, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you are looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or maybe just something from your childhood that you like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories. Well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you enjoy reviewing this figure with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.